Selective leaks, missing context. Global pilots' body flags gaps in Air India crash probe report. The International Federation of Airline Pilots Associations IFLPA, representing over 1,000,000 professional pilots worldwide, has issued a sharp critique of the preliminary crash report on the ill-fated Air India Flight 171, calling it incomplete, speculative, and lacking critical context. In a formal statement, IFLPA said the report by India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau AAIB raises more questions than it answers, particularly in its depiction of the cockpit sequence that preceded the June 12 crash. The Federation warned against the premature assignment of blame, stating that key facts and technical details are still missing. The early release of selected information, particularly cockpit voice recordings without a full investigative context, risks misleading both the public and policymakers, the Federation said. This approach not only undermines investigative integrity, it also casts unjust suspicion on crew members who can no longer speak for themselves. The 15PAGE preliminary report confirms that both engines of the Boeing 7878 Dreamliner lost power shortly after takeoff from Ahmedabad, following an abrupt shift of the fuel control switches from run to cutoff. However, it does not conclude whether the action was mechanical, accidental, or deliberate. IFALPA's primary concern lies in how the report presents these findings. The global pilots' body noted that no definitive mechanical faults were identified and no safety recommendations were made, a significant omission in their view, especially given the public speculation that has followed. Caution against narrative framing. The Federation emphasized that releasing selective cockpit audio without full analysis can encourage what it termed narrative framing, steering public opinion toward unfounded theories, such as pilot suicide or gross negligence. In the absence of clear mechanical explanations, the vacuum is being filled with speculation, IFLPA warned. Investigations must remain focused on facts, not insinuation. The pilots group also voiced support for Indian pilot unions, including ALPA India and the Indian Commercial Pilots Association ICPA, who have separately condemned the handling of the investigation and demanded transparency, including observer status for pilot representatives. Call for transparency and patience. IFALPA called on the AAIB and Indian aviation authorities to adhere strictly to international standards under ICAO Annex 13, which outlines procedures for impartial accident investigation and stakeholder participation. The Federation said this includes protecting sensitive data until it can be responsibly interpreted within the final report. We urge all stakeholders, including media outlets and public officials, to allow investigators the time and space needed to reach factual, technical conclusions. The rush to judgment benefits no one and disrespects the victims and their families. As the investigation continues, IFLPA reaffirmed its commitment to supporting a professional and evidence-driven process, and to defending the integrity of pilots against premature criticism. The final report on the AI-171 crash is expected later this year. The Pilot Association in India has also condemned the Air Accidents Investigation Branch AAIB for suggesting that the pilots of flight AI-171 were responsible for cutting off the fuel to the engine. Swipe left for next video. Speaking exclusively to CNN News 18, Sam Thomas, head of the Pilot Association in India, called the report laughable and questioned the timing of the report's release, the reasons for not asking GE and Boeing to carry out further checks on the engine and aircraft, the partial release of the cockpit conversation transcript, and the lack of a timestamp on when the cutoff switch was first activated. He added the report has led to more confusion than clarity. Using one line from the cockpit voice recorder to insinuate that the pilots cut out the fuel control switches is misleading. This action is actually part of a checklist if you lose both engines. When you put out such a report that says nothing definitive and insinuates something else, it becomes open to interpretation. A lot of people who have not even seen a picture of the airplane are commenting on it. Very irresponsible comments are being circulated regarding the pilot's deliberate action to crash the plane, and it is making rounds in the Western media. Latest blogs.